Welcome, everybody, and thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to join us for this session on the Business and Childcare Partnership Grant Program. My name is Carla Rodd, and I'm a Federal Aid Administrator with the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. During tonight's hour-long session, we will provide you with an overview of the Business and Childcare Partnership Grant Program, and we will also allow time for you to ask questions. Accompanying me tonight is Jerry Hendricks with Public Knowledge. It's a firm that is helping DHHS with administering this grant program.
Hi, I'm Jerry Hendricks. I'm excited to be partnering with the state of Nebraska and assisting with this Business and Childcare Partnership Grant. I'll be speaking with you more later on the evening about the details of this grant opportunity.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Before we jump into things, I'd like to cover a few logistical items. Our presentation will begin by discussing the program's eligibility requirements, followed by information on usage of funds, application materials, and grant monitoring. Once we have wrapped our presentation, we will then open it up for questions. And at that time, we can unmute you for you to ask your questions, or you can use the Q&A function to type your questions. We may not get to everyone's questions, but we will try to do our best. I want to also inform you of the DHHS webpage, which is dhhs.ne.gov/CCDF. And this is where you will find program information, our frequently asked questions, and guidance on how to reach out for help. Tonight, we will be recording this presentation and posting it to our website for people to refer back to or to watch if they were unable to attend this live recording. As many of you know, DHHS continually seeks ways to invest in Nebraska's childcare network. Our goal is to ensure families across the state have access to high quality and affordable childcare by providing grants and help alleviate financial challenges and to supply further opportunities for those owning and operating childcare businesses. For some of you may have received assistance through our Childcare Stabilization Grant Program, which we implemented in 2021, and some of you may have applied for our Workforce Stipend and Student Loan Repayment Programs, which were launched in December. As a reminder, applications for the Workforce Stipend and Student Loan Repayment Programs are due January 11th at 7 p.m. Central Time. Today, we will focus our attention on the Business and Childcare Partnership Grant Program. The Business and Childcare Partnership Program is funded with American Rescue Plan Act and Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Act federal dollars, which were awarded to states to assist in childcare programs. I will now hand it over to Jerry to talk about the Business and Childcare Partnership Program.
Thanks, Carla. So the goal of this grant program is to increase childcare capacity throughout the state of Nebraska. This funding will help individuals, businesses, and organizations create new childcare programs, as well as enable existing licensed chair programs to increase their licensed capacity. So first, let's talk about who can apply. This program is open to any Nebraska licensed childcare program currently open and operating and in good standing with the state that aims to increase its license capacity. This program is also open to any individual, business, or organization starting a licensed childcare program in Nebraska that can demonstrate there is a need for a childcare program in their area and can successfully pass a background check. Applicants do not need to be residents of Nebraska. In addition, applicants must have a unique entity ID or a UEI prior to applying. If you do not have one, you can visit sam.gov and register for a UEI. Just note that registration for a UEI can take an average of 7 to 10 business days to process, as the representatives at sam.gov must send out information for validation with outside parties before registration can be activated. So for further questions, I would encourage you to reach the Federal Service Desk at the sam.gov website. Also, note that existing licensed childcare programs must be registered with the Nebraska Child Care Referral Network. If you are not currently registered, you can visit this website, Nebraska Childcare, nechildcarereferral.org/register. Startup programs will be required to register once they are licensed. Also, startup childcare programs must have a location established and provide a rental or lease agreement if the property is not owned, as well as a landlord approval letter that supports business operations of a childcare program. So next, how can you use this award? These funds can be used for minor renovations and repairs to a childcare facility. Funds can also be used for equipment expenses, health and safety items, program supplies, and professional fees. Funds can also be used for staff wages and benefits, mortgage or rent payments, and utility payments. And note that all expenses can only be incurred through July 31st, 2023. So when it comes to how grant recipients can use the grant award, I'll now spend a little bit of time talking through what are considered allowable versus non-allowable expenses. So funds can be used to make minor renovations to your childcare facility. So for example, you can use the funds to repaint walls, update bathrooms, replace cabinetry, install ADA ramps and railing, removing non-load-bearing walls to help create additional space. Additionally, childcare programs may apply for funds for staff wages and benefits for eligible employees who have passed the child care criminal history check and are actively working for the provider. As far as non-allowable expenses, it's important to understand that these funds cannot be used for major renovations, and this is due to federal funding regulations. These funds cannot be used to make structural or foundational changes of your childcare facility, or to purchase land or new buildings for your childcare program. I will dive a little deeper into the allowable and non-allowable expenses in the next couple of slides. So to provide you with a better sense of what we mean by minor renovations, I'll spend a little time sharing some examples. So this includes upgrading kitchen to add safe electrical outlets and fix plumbing issues, repainting walls with non-toxic paint, renovating or updating bathrooms to ensure age appropriateness and child safety, installing rails and ramps that increase accessibility, updating sidewalks to provide a safe pathway for children, building or updating a playground, replacing fire sprinklers, carbon monoxide detectors, or smoke detector systems, replacing windows or doors, minor roof repairs, and removing non-load-bearing walls to create additional space. As mentioned a little bit ago, these funds cannot be used for major renovations or purchasing new land or property. So what is considered a major renovation? According to federal funding regulations, funds may not be used for major renovations, which is defined as structural changes to the foundation, roof, floor, exterior, or load-bearing walls of a facility, or extension of a facility to increase its floor area, or extensive alteration of a facility, such as to significantly change its function and purpose, even if such renovation does not include a structural change. Now that we have shared some information about how the Business and Child Care Partnership Program looks, I'll share some additional key points. First, when can you apply? Applications will be accepted starting next Tuesday, January 17th. Note that there are 2 applications, one for programs that are currently open and operating and are seeking to expand, and the other is for programs seeking to start up operations. Awards will be made on a rolling basis until all funds have been dispersed. And what are the requirements of this funding? So all funds must be expended by July 31st, 2023. New childcare programs need to be licensed and operating by December 31st, 2023. Grant recipients are required to remain open and care for children for 3 years after the awarded date or from the date of the license, whichever is later. Closing the business before the 3 years have passed may require the grant recipient to pay back all or a prorated portion of their award. As for what you will need, you will see a list of required documents needed for your application on this slide. And I will now highlight some of these you'll want to make note of. So first, a copy of your valid driver's license or state ID. And as we discussed, a unique entity ID. Also within the application, there will be a section that will be for a budget proposal for all project expenses that are incurred through July 31st, 2023 that you're requesting funding for. You will need to include price quotes or bids for items over $1,000 in the budget categories of minor renovations or repairs, equipment, and vehicle purchase. Also, 2 letters of support from your community, and these letters need to address the need for additional childcare in your community. For startup programs and existing programs moving to a new location, if the property is rented, you'll need to include a copy of the rental or lease agreement, as well as landlord approval letter that supports your business operations for a childcare program. And then lastly, you'll need to include a business plan outline that shows projected expenses and income for the next 12 months. So as for the applications, you'll be able to find a link to the application forms on the DHHS website. Remember, there are 2 applications for this program, so be sure you fill out the correct application. If you are an existing childcare program looking to receive expansion grant funding, or a new business in startup phase looking to receive funding to help you start your program. So visit the DHHS website that's on your screen, dhhs.ne.gov/ccdf. Find the link to the application, which will take you to the submit.com website. Register an account in submit.com. If you are a returning applicant and applied for the previous workforce stipend and student loan repayment program, you can use your existing account to log in and fill out a business and childcare partnership program application. New account users, you will want to verify you want to create an account by clicking on the link you will receive in an email from submit.com. Once you have registered your account and signed in, you can begin filling out your application. Depending on which application you're applying for, you will fill out either the expansion application or the startup application. Once you have entered all required information, please review your application carefully before you submit. You will not be able to make changes once you have submitted your application. And once you have submitted your application, you will receive an automated email from submit.com verifying that your application is complete and will be reviewed. Lastly, the applications will be available starting January 17th, next Tuesday. Award determinations will be made on a rolling basis until funds are dispersed. As for awards, the award decision will be announced via email. Payments will be dispersed on a rolling basis starting in February until the funds run out. They'll be dispersed in one lump sum payment to the recipient. Lastly, payments will be made by direct deposit and in one lump sum. So applicants will need to provide their financial institution information to receive their award electronically. When it comes to how grant award funds will be monitored, A grant monitoring report will need to be completed by the awardee on a monthly basis, and expenditures will be monitored. Data will be collected to report on overall spending and the number of childcare slots created.
Thanks, Jerry. I will add one more thing before we move on to the Q&A, and that is how applicants can get help and learn more about this program. You can visit the DHHS website where we have all the program information readily available and up to date. And this is where you will find our FAQs for this program. If you would like to talk to somebody, you can use our helpline, which is 402-204-5506. And you can also send a message by email using the email address listed on the screen.
Thanks, Carla. We'll now spend some time addressing audience questions. So just as a reminder, you can simply use the Q&A feature and type in your questions, or you can raise your hand and we will unmute you. So as you're thinking of your questions, to get us started, I'd like to pose a few that I think many folks may have. So Carla, is there a maximum award amount that can be requested?
Thanks, Jerry. Yeah, no, there is not a maximum award amount. However, you may not receive the full amount of your request.
Thanks. Is this grant only for licensed programs?
And that answer is yes, this grant is open to existing licensed childcare programs that are increasing their license capacity. And then it's also open to any individual business or organization that's starting a Nebraska licensed childcare program.
Thank you. So if an applicant already has an existing license and is not reaching that capacity limit, can they apply?
To be eligible to apply, you will need to be increasing your license capacity. So for example, you will need to be expanding your program from a family child care home 1 to a family child care home 2, or from a family child care home 2 to a child care center, or you could be increasing a license capacity of a current child care center.
Great, thank you. So another question I think folks may have, so if an applicant accepts more children under their existing license capacity, can they apply for the grant?
Unfortunately, no on that question. If you are an existing license that allows you to accept any more children, you are not eligible. This grant is only for programs increasing their current license capacity.
One last question before we open it up. Can applicants use the funds to purchase a house or a building to open a childcare program?
And that answer is no. As required by federal funding regulations, funds shall not be used to purchase for the construction or permanent improvements to any building or facility. And additionally, funds cannot be used for the purchase or improvement of land.
Jerry, Carla, thank you both so much for providing a great amount of information in the first 20 minutes of this presentation. Throughout that time, we've had a good handful of folks that have been utilizing the Q&A. We've also got some folks that have got their hand raised, so I think we're gonna segue to the Q&A portion. One question that I wanted to see if you would be able to provide a little bit more clarity with, Carla, comes from Jennifer. And she's wondering if you can explain the timeline on applying for the grant and applying for your child care license. Do you have to be awarded the grant before you turn in your license application?
So I'm guessing that's an expansion.
It's a good question. She did not necessarily clarify. So I'm wondering, Jennifer Blockowitz, I think is her last name. If you are on this webinar and you want to raise your hand and you're comfortable sort of speaking, please do so, and I will quickly give you permissions to unmute and talk. While I wait for that response, or while I wait to hear from her, another question that came up comes from attendee by the name of Melanie. And Melanie wants to know if these funds can be used for a building improvement expense in which the materials were purchased back in 2022, but their labor hasn't taken place yet.
If they were already purchased, these funds can't be reimbursed. The purchase needs to be made after you received your award.
Okay. All right. I think I see that Jennifer has raised her hand, so I will go ahead and allow you the opportunity to jump in. Hello, Jennifer. Go ahead and feel free to unmute yourself. And if you want to go ahead and kind of clarify a little bit, we'll be happy to help answer your question.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you
Yes,
perfectly,
Jennifer, go
yes.
Okay, so I feel like we kind of have a unique situation. Currently, I'm the senior director for 5 different early childhood programs, but our current owner of our license is closing all of those programs as of February 15th. And so it's kind of unfortunate. It's going to affect 3 different communities. And each community is starting the process of creating a new nonprofit. So it'll be 3 separate nonprofit owners. So we have to relicense. And so we're looking for funding. So I didn't know if this is something that's going to work for that. And our problem is we don't want to close our doors to our families at all. So we're trying to do it quickly, but yet we also need to start coming up with funding to keep everybody operating.
Okay, and you said these will be new. I'm understanding that these will be new. I know that you have a current one, but these licenses will be new.
Yes.
So
yes.
As long as you basically what this grant will be for, it can be used towards your startup. But any expenses that you're requesting needs to be expended by July 31st. And
Okay.
then you'll need to be open and licensed and operating by December 31st of 2023.
Okay. So I guess my question is, so let's just say January 17th, I submit my grant application.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to wait for the email to say that I've been awarded it before I become licensed, or can they kind of run together, the grant application and the license application?
Yeah, you should be awarded prior to you can run them together, but you should be awarded prior to being licensed.
Okay. Okay. All righty. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm going to go ahead and lower your hand, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and mute you back if that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We also seem to have another hand raised by the name of Paula Osborne. So Paula, I'm going to go ahead and let you unmute yourself and you can jump right in.
So I actually just had a quick question in regards to, I am the coordinator for our childcare facility, and the license is actually held by our board president. So in that case, I guess how would it be that we provide a copy of her driver's license? Would it be the person filing the application?
We are asking for the owner of the childcare program to apply.
Okay.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much for your question, Paula. Another question that popped up over in the Q&A comes from Jeremy, and Jeremy wants to know if we own 2 daycares that have the same name, do we, oh, it just went away. Hold on one second here. I apologize for that. If we own 2 daycares that have the same name, do we do separate applications? How does that work?
If you are expanding each separate license, you will need to have 2 separate applications.
Great. All right, I see that we have a hand raised from Maria Artiaga. And so I will go ahead and bring her on in. Hi, Maria.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Can hear you perfect, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good evening. I guess my question right now is, I'm a little bit confused in the aspect of if I am considered already an operating or a non-operating. I've got a license exempt family childcare home agreement, and I do 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I do bill Title 20. I still go through all that Title 20 process and background checks and so forth, so on. And I'm wanting to obviously expand to a building. So would I be considered an existing provider or a new provider based on what I currently, I guess, am considered with the exempt? I don't know if that.
I believe since you are a license exempt, you don't have a current license number, correct?
I guess I have a NFocus, like an organization ID number.
Okay.
I have an ID number. I'm considered, I come out on the list as my name,
Okay.
as my name, and then I do have an A&D waiver. So like I do a lot of programs. And so I'm not sure if I know this is strictly childcare, but I do it A&D waiver childcare as well. So I'm kind of like in a situation in which I'm a jack of all trades.
Sure.
So I'm trying to figure out, am I existing or not, or a new one so that I can put in my application?
What I would do is I would just do it as a startup. Since you are a non-exempt right now, I would just do your application as a startup.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your question, Maria. All right, we have another question coming to us from Joe David Harris. So Joe, I will go ahead and bring you in. Go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have for us.
My question is, as far as things that you can purchase, let's just say if you need to upgrade your heating and cooling, would that be something that would be allowed? Would you be able to use that if you needed to upgrade your heating and cooling on your facility, or is that something that would go on the lines of not being qualified as a part of that?
Yeah, upgrades to heating and cooling would qualify, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe. All right, I've got Nichelle Pegas, who has her hand raised. I also see that she has asked a question in the Q&A. And so I'm gonna bring her on. Nichelle, I'm assuming that this may be the same question. And that is, do you need your fingerprinting letter to apply for these funds if you just renewed your license?
Yes. So my question is, if I just renewed my license, but I did my fingerprinting on November the 11th, but I have not received a letter back, and I just got renewed with the fire marshal and the worker came out. So do I need that letter, or can I apply without the letter?
Are you existing? You're existing, you just renewed, is that what you said? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
an existing.
Yeah, you do not need the letter to apply. You can go ahead and apply.
Is that the same where I can apply for the first one that expires on the 11th?
I am not following.
There was
are you expanding your license?
Yeah, I'm expanding, and I also was going to apply for the one that's closing on January 11th. Excuse me, January 11th. I apologize.
Okay, so your expansion can't be done prior to applying.
Okay.
Okay, it has to be done after
Okay.
you're awarded.
Okay. So I don't need my fingerprinting letter to apply for these grants.
No, if we need any extra information, you can go ahead and apply, but if we need any extra information from you, we will reach out to you.
And that UEI number, that takes 7 to 10 days. Do we still need that number in order to go forward with the
Yes.
application?
Yes, you'll need that number submit before you can submit your application.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, there we go. A question popped up in the Q&A, and I'm curious if you have some insight on this, Carla. An individual is stated, I was working at a home daycare and I just got my center approved this month. Which application should I be applying for?
Did she own? I'm guessing she owned one prior and she expanded to a center.
You know, the way that I am reading this is that they may have previously worked at another daycare center, and now they're getting ready to start their own center that has recently approved this coming month.
Okay, as long as the startup is not licensed yet, yeah, she can go ahead and apply for the new center.
Okay. Let's see. And then we have Raina Sabrian, who has her hand raised. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. And Raina, go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have.
Hi, thank you for taking my my hand here. Just a quick question. So just to clarify, we have a center and we wanted to, expand the capacities to get more children. But for that, we're kind of thinking that we need to add maybe like an attached we need to construct an attached building to it. Would that be considered, would the funds help for that? It's not to purchase a new building. We already have the building. We'd just be doing an addition to it. And then also I kind of was late on it, so I'm not sure. But is there going to be just certain amount of people that are going to get accepted for the fund, or pretty much, if you apply, you'll get accepted for it? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. So for your first part of your question, for additions, no, the funds cannot be used for additions on current buildings. And for the second part of your question, basically how this is going to run, applications start January 17th, and we will fund as we go. And when the funds run out, the funds run out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That also kind of segues to another question that I saw come up over in the Q&A part, and they were wondering a little bit as far as construction goes. Adrian was wondering if there are any specific parts of new construction that would be eligible, like a playground or an HVAC system or HVAC unit.
Now, I would say the playground would be the only thing that would be eligible, because you can build or replace your playground. Now, if it's a new construction, anything to do with the HVAC, I would say no.
Okay. All right. We've got Paulina, who has her hand raised, and so I'm going to bring Paulina in. Go ahead, Paulina, and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. Okay, my quick question was about the community letter. Does it have to be from a reputable business, or can it be from current employees or parents or staff? And what criteria is needed in that community letter?
Yes, for your community letter, basically what we're looking for, it needs to be on a letterhead. So we're looking for like community representatives, and it's basically outlining their support for your childcare program, and that then for the need that is needed in your community.
Okay, perfect. That's what I needed.
Great. Thank you so much, Paulina. We also have Mary Anderson, who has her hand raised. Mary, thank you for your patience. I will go ahead and bring you into unmute mode and let us know what question you have.
Actually, I have two questions. Excuse me. One, you spoke about the kitchen area, being able to update the kitchen for the safety of the children. Is that something that you could get funds for? In particular, a commercial dishwasher?
Yes, so dishwasher, appliance, equipment, that would be under equipment, I would say. And yes, that would be considered eligible.
And the next question is, we were hoping to upgrade our safety with 2 doors and being able to put keypads on those doors. Would that be something that would be eligible?
I would say for the doors, yes. And I would say yes. If it's all one unit, then yes.
What do you mean by one unit?
Is that like what you said with the keypad?
So there's 2 doors currently that lead. One leads out to the playground, and it is unlocked when the children go in and out, but it is not, we feel for the safety of the children that it needs a keypad in order to be able to always keep it locked and yet still give them or the teachers the ability to walk in and out.
Okay, yes, I would say yes, that would be an eligible item.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mary. All right. Another question looks like we have from Jeremy Gaunt. So Jeremy, I will go ahead and bring you in, and you can go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us be on here. I actually have 2 questions there that you can see. I'll tell them both and you can go from there. One is, we bought a building in June of 2022. And yes, we already opened, but we went from 59 kids to 120 kids. Would we qualify for that? And then second question is, we're looking at taking over a daycare that's closing this Friday, and we'd be reopening that in our own license with our name on it. Would that qualify? Thank you.
Okay. So as for your expansion, is your expansion, you already have it complete with your new certificate with your additional capacity? Is that complete?
Yes.
And I would say no, since that's already complete, that's not eligible to apply. But for the second one, you are opening, I'm guessing since you're taking over this business, it will be a new. And if you're not licensed yet, then yes, you can apply as a new startup.
Even though they were licensed before, but they're closing, and we open it in our license, so that technically will qualify them.
If you're not licensed before you apply, and so you're opening, I'm guessing you're opening in the same center license?
Yes. So basically, the center, effective this Friday, is closing its doors. We are going to go in there and obviously reopen it, but it's going to take a couple months to get licensed. So would that qualify?
It's a new location of yours. So is it additional location that you already have?
It'll be a new location under our business. But not that we currently have.
Okay. Jeremy, I'm going to have you email that question to me and I'm going to look into it for you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm going to segue over a little bit to the Q&A chat because we've got some questions that have popped up. And so I'm going to kind of throw a few towards you, Carla, and let me know some of the answers to these. Portia is wondering, I'm doing in-home childcare, so can I qualify for the grant, or do I have to wait till I get fully licensed?
So is she license exempt now?
That is a great question.
As long
Portia,
as she is expanding to a license like a family childcare home 1, like if she's starting a family childcare home 1 then that would be considered, I would say, as a startup since she's not yet licensed.
Okay. I will definitely encourage Portia, if that did not necessarily, or if you need to clarify anything, please do feel free to raise your hand. Let us know, and I will try to get you in to get some additional clarification. I have an older home that needs electrical updating. Would that be considered a major renovation or a minor renovation? And this question comes from Tiffany Luna.
Like a full, okay, I would say the eligible would, like, if you're updating electrical in your kitchen or in your bathroom to make sure it's safe for the children, I would say that would be. But for the full home, I would say you'll have to specify exactly where the electrical updating needs to be done to be eligible.
Yeah. Let's see. Paula Osborne is wondering, would increasing the ages of children we provide care to count as increasing capacity? For example, we currently provide care to ages 3 years to ages 10, but have considered adding toddlers to our license.
Okay, so as long as your current license capacity number is increasing, you're increasing that number, that is considered, so you can apply if you were increasing your current childcare capacity license.
Okay. April Bender is wondering, can the funds be used if we are not operating at licensed capacity, but could if we moved walls and reallocated space to use as classrooms? Can't increase license capacity, can't do this increase license capacity due to the fire marshal, but can only operate at half capacity due to new fire codes. Could operate at 60 plus more if we could reallocate space.
That got a little complicated, but I feel like as long as they can increase their current license capacity, they are eligible to apply. Now, if they cannot increase their current license capacity, no, they are not eligible to apply.
Yeah, and I think too, one thing to note there when it comes to moving walls, just as a reminder, those walls should need to be non-load bearing.
Correct.
All right. All right, Jocelyn Johnson says, I currently have a UEI number for my current daycare. Do you know if I will be able to have the same number for the new daycare?
That would be something that you would have to contact the sam.gov number helpline to verify that.
Okay. This question came in a little bit earlier and I happened to just miss it in my error, so I apologize. Lorraine Johnson says, I am in a home 1 with the capacity of 10. How do I expand if DHHS allows me to only have 10? Is going from a home 1 to a home 2 considered expansion?
Yes, if you're going from a home 1 to a home 2, which will give you up to a 12 capacity, I believe, and that would be, you would be eligible to apply for that expansion.
Great. And Kathy Martinez is wondering if she already runs a home 2 and wants to make renovations to become ADA accessible, would she qualify for this grant?
If she's not expanding her license capacity, no, she's not eligible to apply for this grant.
All right. I will go ahead and I'm going to turn it back over to some of these raised hands, and I'm going to bring in Prosper. And so I will go ahead and bring you in. And Prosper, do feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have.
Sorry, my question was answered on the Q&A. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. No worries. No worries. All right. Well, with that, I will go ahead and bring in Mary Anderson. And Mary, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have.
Actually, I already asked my question and you replied.
You did, and that is my apology, Mary. I
Right.
forgot to lower your hand, so I will do that right now. But welcome back, and thank you again.
Right.
All right. Ashley Carlock, I will go ahead and bring you in, and you can go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for taking my question. So I am currently a licensed home two. I currently only have 10 kids. I believe I can go up to the capacity of 12 kids. So I'm currently using my upstairs as my center, like the entire upstairs. Would it be possible to finish my basement in order to move from my upstairs to my downstairs, in order to continue to run the facility and add two additional kids downstairs? I technically have more space downstairs, but I'm not really sure if that qualifies. And then I also know because there's no second way of getting out of the basement. I was told that I would have to either have an egress window put in or another form of exit to get out of the basement, according to the fire marshal.
Okay, so did I hear that you're already a home two? So is your license capacity already 12?
My capacity as of right now is only 10.
But is it on the roster as your capacity as 10 or 12?
It's 10.
On the roster. Okay. So as long as you are expanding your license capacity to 12, you have to be expanding, then things could qualify. Now, as for what construction you may need, it depends, because you just said it just needs to be redone, which I don't know. As long as non-bearing walls can be taken out, minor repairs can be done, painting can be done. Now with the window, I will have to look into that for you. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
So if you want, Ashley, if you want to email that email address, that question, we will look into it for you.
I will do that. I actually logged in a little later because I still had kiddos. So I think I may have missed where to email or where to send that.
Okay, go ahead and do a question in the Q&A and they can get that for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Tanisha Garcia, who has had her hand raised, and I will bring you on in. And Tanisha, you can go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. So my question is, I am a licensed facility now. When I wanted to expand, they told me to go ahead and send in my application, but I have yet to expand due to funding and some major construction issues we got into. But I recently finished that stuff and we're just waiting on basically fire and safety to come install everything. And I know I paid half of that because it was pretty pricey, but would I still be able to apply for this since I haven't yet expanded or gotten any equipment for my other side?
As long as you are not licensed prior to being awarded, then yes, you can go ahead and apply.
Okay, and so when I have to have the state come and approve everything, do I apply for this grant and then wait until I get approved to have state come and look at it?
I would recommend you can do it, and I don't know what the timeline is there, but I would make sure that you're awarded prior to your license capacity being changed to the expansion number.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you, Tanisha. All right. Let's see, we've got Nicole Johnson, who has been waiting as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Nicole in. And Nicole, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have.
Okay. Hi, thank you. Okay, so if let's say I'm licensed for 50 children, so I have to go to the state and put an application to be licensed, let's say for 70 children in my center before I really can even move forward. with this grant? Because it's not just bringing in more kids, but it's actually adding numbers to that license that you have on your wall at the daycare.
As long as your goal is to expand, then you are eligible to apply. If your goal, and then as long as you are up and licensed at that higher capacity by December 31st of 2023, you are eligible to apply as an expansion.
Okay, so no, there doesn't need to be any work done as far as going to the state to ask the fire marshal for more children in the center.
I mean, I would do your research and make sure that you can expand to that number.
Okay, and my other question is, I guess it piggybacks on that. Is it so if I have a center that's only open to the day shift, and then I decide to expand to the overnight shift and possibly the weekend shifts, is that an expansion? Because you're not getting any more numbers from the state, you're just utilizing your building a little bit more.
Right, but we're looking for the license capacity number. If it's not an expansion of that, then you're not able to apply.
Okay, and that has to be done by that July date.
Your expenses need to be done, like expensed by July 31st. Now your license can be done by December 31st.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Nicole. All right, a question that came over in the Q&A really quick. I am currently on a provisional license and getting permanent license soon for in-home childcare 2. Would I qualify for this grant?
No, I don't believe so, since you're already licensed for the childcare home 2. You won't be expanding.
If they're provisional license and moving to permanent license?
Right, if it's the same license, like if they're
Okay.
by family childcare home 2.
Okay. Holly Chrisman wants to know, our childcare center will have new ownership in April 2023. Would this affect being eligible for the grant?
And give me that date one more time, I'm sorry.
April 2023.
So is it going to be a new license number and everything under the new ownership?
That would be a good question. Holly, if you happen to still be in the webinar and want to raise your hand for just a little bit of clarity, I'll be on the lookout for your hand raise, and hopefully we can get that question answered for you. I will go ahead and go back into some of these hand raises, and I see that we have one, and I apologize for the pronunciation of the name, but it's H-I-B-A-H, Hibah. So I will go ahead and bring you in, and go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have.
Hello, can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have had a home daycare for about 12 years, and recently I opened a daycare center on January 1st of this year. And I had gotten my license back in December. So I don't have any kids yet. And I'm just wondering if I would be eligible to apply for this grant or not.
No, if you're already licensed, then you would not be able to apply.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Lorelei, let's see, or excuse me, Lolita Morrison has had her hand raised as well. So I will go ahead and bring her on in. Lolita, go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what question you have.
Hi, good evening. So I have contacted the state, let them know that I'm interested in doing daycare 1 in my home. They sent me the application, and I'm in the process of getting that going. And so I did talk to another company, because I hear what everybody's saying, but it's kind of confusing. Like, you can have a new startup and then get applied and then get possibly money, or you can have an existing daycare and get money but not get money. I mean, it's kind of sensitive, you know what I'm saying, as to how that can go. and I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Do I pause and not finish my application and not send it in before I apply for help through the state of Nebraska for this grant, or do I just keep going with my application and fill that out?
Okay. So with the application opening next Tuesday, and it sounds like you're just starting your process, that is fine. I would go ahead and you can just go along and do your process to apply for a new, correct? Your new home one?
Yes.
Yes. So you'll be it would be the startup application that you would use. So we will begin looking at those applications as soon as you submit your application, and then awards would start probably possibly the beginning of February or mid-February.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I did have another question. I am in my my home, and you, like you said, you need to have those letters and things set up, and I did tell them it's an apartment, so I don't need any type of renovation of any sort. But can the money, I heard you say the money could be used for employees, but can the money be used for things you need in your daycare, like things for the children that they can
Program
utilize for
supplies,
learning?
yes.
For supplies?
Educational
Okay.
supplies, program supplies, yes. Anything like that, yes. These funds can be used towards those things.
All right, awesome. Because I was like, wait a minute, nobody's asking about that.
Yes.
I just want to make sure, because to have a daycare, you need those things to help, to learn, and
Absolutely.
to teach the children. And all right, awesome. Thank you, guys. I'm excited.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, Lolita.
Thank you.
So Carla, with the couple of minutes that we have left, a common question that we've seen that's come through the Q&A has to do with the renovation expansions and things like that. So how do folks go about increasing license capacity without doing any type of renovation expansion in that building?
That would, I guess it depends on what they need done to be able to expand, to be able to say what's eligible for with these funds or not. It's kind of an open-ended question. I don't know how to answer.
Definitely
if they would
an open-ended question.
Email that email address, go ahead and we can get you more of a sound answer.
Yeah, I think a lot of people may have some very specific renovation type of questions that are a little bit more specific to their situation. So I definitely agree that email address will be a great resource for them to get a more concrete one-on-one question. And I think last question for you, Carla, do you have to have a letter from the state saying you were approved for a capacity increase before you can apply for the grant?
No, but it's not a bad thing to have. If we need extra information from you, we will reach out to you after you submit your application.
Great. And I know we had a ton of questions still that came through in the Q&A. We've still got folks raising their hands. And unfortunately, we are at about time. So Carla, I will hand it back over to you.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for all their questions. It was great. And I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to join us tonight. If you do have any questions, please be sure to email that email address. You can find it on our website, which is dhhs.ne.gov/ccdf. And stay tuned for the link to the application on that website, as well as the FAQs and any other program updates. I want everyone to have a great night.
Thank you so much, Carla. And yes, good night, everyone. Thank you again.